Hello, welcome to Topper Machine. I'm Josh Topper, and if you saw the thumbnail, I busted the Bridgeport. Yep, I did it. In 27 years, I have never once broke one of these in this fashion. I've never seen this happen before myself, but parts are available, so that's awesome. But in this case, I was drilling pin jaws, drilling the hole for the mounting, and it was pulling on the handle like I normally do, you know, not putting a lot of torque on it, and all of a sudden, pop. And that was the end of it. Now, in order to keep going, I went over to the planer and I stole the parts out of the planer to keep going. So let me show you what actually broke and how it broke. All right, so here is the broken gear and here is the new gear. And as you can see, the keyway in there, right at the keyway, is where that one broke. So it just popped and a tooth came out. Now that made a mess for me, so I've got to keep drilling. Obviously, we got to get these pin jaws done, which are in the tumbler right now and should be ready to ship by March 1st or 2nd. We're going to be working on that, but I had to keep going. So over to the planer that uses a Bridgeport head, and I yanked the parts out of here in order to keep going. So disassembled this head enough to pull the gear out and just keep going. So now what we're going to do is we're going to reassemble this and walk you through how that works and show you. I mean, it's a real simple process once you get into it, but obviously it should have never happened. I don't know why it happened. It was just weird. I've never seen this. In 27 years of doing this, never once have I seen this. Now, a lot of you have commented over the years about putting a Bridgeport head on here, how it's so flimsy, whatever. The nice thing about having it is the spare parts availability, because this doesn't get used a lot. That was a great thing. So here is the shaft that operates the quill. So this goes through, and this gear goes right on this shaft. So we'll just go ahead and get that on there. And it's kind of a slip fit. I'll have to just tap it on the rest of the way. So over on this side of the head is where your feed mechanism is, and that is this guy right here. And that has to come off in order to get the shaft out, because you got to drive it out. And this gear in here is just kind of loose, so we got to be careful putting it in there. There is some loose pieces in there as well, but we'll just tap that shaft in from the opposite side where the handle goes. We'll just tap it in gently. And line it into the quill, the gear on the quill. And I'll show you that because I have a spare quill. Here is a spare quill that I picked up, and I had bought this just to replace the bearings in it and have a quill ready to go into a machine. So I can just swap it out as needed. And it's a little rough, and I didn't pay much for it, but it'll get me by. It'll get it into a machine and back and running quicker. Maybe, but I might also modify this one for different uses. But this gear engages on this part of the rack. So that's how it drives the quill up and down. All right, to start, I'm just going to put a little grease on our shaft. I mean, lubrication is always good to help start it and to, protect it once it's in there. Lubrication is always good. Put a little on there. And we'll just tap it in. And being mindful of the drive on the other side, because that needs to line up. So once we get it through there, and this is a tight fit. It's a good tight fit, which tells me there isn't much wear. There we go, I just hit it. So this actually drives by a worm gear. This is actually a worm in assembly. So I just need to keep driving it through. I hit it and just kind of line it up with my finger to get it to go through. And it looks like I'm there. And I don't think I'm all the way engaged. That feels better. So I'll bring the flashlight in here. There is a snap ring groove back in there that holds that assembly from moving in and out and holds the shaft. So here's the snap ring. We'll just go ahead and put that on. And then just taking a small screwdriver, I just lock that on the rest of the way, but I'll have to hold the shaft. There it is, got it. All right, I went and got a little more light. Now, the next thing we're gonna put on the drive for the Quill feed, and this thing has a built-in key, so we just need to line that up, but also need to line up this into the slot. The pin, there's a pin there that drives that. And be careful not to lose your little spring plunger that keeps that out. So there it is. And then it's just the two socket head cap screws. All right, now we're over at the handle side, and this is the clock spring. And I'm gonna be honest with everybody, I have never seen one of these work. Never. In 27 years, I've never seen one that'll actually retract the quill like they claim it will. But it goes in there, there's a little dog on the shaft here that bites into this hole in the spring. I don't know if you can see that well, but it just goes in like that, catches that dog. And I just need to bring it in and turn it around until it hits. There it is. Now, when I took the other Bridgeport apart, I lost the screws that held this in. I gotta get to town and get more, but for right now, I'm not gonna worry about it. We're just gonna finish putting this together. And actually, I need to pull this back out because I forgot to put the woodruff key in right there. Actually, I want to rotate that to get it back to the top because it'll be easier. There, just enough engagement. A little more. All right, we're basically vertical on the woodruff key. Bit in again. And let's try this one more time. Hopefully we get it. I think we got it that time. Yes. I'll grab a bigger screwdriver and finish this off, but that's basically it. All back together. I see I bumped the camera a little bit, but pretty straightforward, easy to get this all apart. Now, I've got it this far. We're gonna do one more thing. I've got a bad collet alignment screw on this thing, so we'll go ahead and change that out, and we'll finish up. Now, collet alignment screws are really quite easy. There's a set screw back here. We gotta loosen that. Of course, I gotta have the right Allen wrench. just back that out a little ways just to ensure we don't mar up our threads. And then you take a spanner wrench, and there are 2 holes in this cover here. This piece right here comes out. And sometimes they're a pain. I don't think this one's been apart in a while. There it is. A little bit of persuasion. Take that right out. We'll clean that up before putting it back in. So now we've got the spindle exposed. The bearing's right there. We're going to drive the spindle down enough to get to the collet alignment screw, which is, it's about here. It's like not very far. In fact, I'll turn it to line it up so you can see when I drop it down. And to get that out, I just use my hammer wrench with the brass and just drive it down. So it's already moving. And as you can see, it didn't take a lot. I didn't drive it very far. Now there's 2 set screws here. There's the set screw with the pin, and there's a hollow one to lock it. So we need to take those out. Wow. All right, so there is the hollow locking set screw. We'll just set that to the side. You know what? That ain't even the hollow one. Somebody put a ground one down to make it work. Good thing I bought extras. Oh wow, there wasn't even a collet alignment screw in there. Oh my God. This head was bought completely rebuilt, believe it or not. There was no collet alignment screw in it when I got it. The brake doesn't work right, which I need to tear into. There's just so many problems. So this, in fact, let me put it right on the end of the Allen wrench. This is a collet alignment screw. That's simple. You just thread it in there. If I can get it to start. There it is. And then we go grab a few different collets and we set our depth. So this goes in actually quite a ways. Right about there is where I want to start. So I'm just going to start with a regular collet and fit it. And that's too far. So that's good. Next I'll grab another tool holder, as you want to make sure it works with everything. So that's a good one. Here's an indexable cutter that I use. That bites nice. And a boring head. And I seen that just turned on me. And that is good too. So we're good right there. And this is the proper lock screw. I keep all this stuff on hand. I've got several collet alignment screws and several of the lock screws, because you just never know. And you got to be careful putting these in, because it's hollow. You could engage the collet alignment screw and change the depth. And you don't want to do that. So you just want to run this in and lock it into the collet alignment screw. And then check them all again. Just make sure everything is good. Last thing you want is that thing to be off, and then you got something that won't fit. And there we go, that one don't fit. So I actually turned it in just a little bit accidentally. That's an easy fix. So we'll go in and just loosen the outer one enough to get on the inner one. And then I got that backed out a little. Now we'll just grab that outer one. And there it is. And this bites still a little bit, but I'd call that actually really close. I could back it off just a touch more. All right, I can live with that. And last, we take our collar that's been cleaned up. Get that started. And then use the spanner wrench here to suck the whole thing right back up in. And if that don't work, then we bottom it out on the table and push it up. And I didn't forget this screw, tighten that. Put our quill handle back on, and then there's a set screw in that you just snug up to run in the groove, which is a much smaller Allen wrench. And you don't want that thing tight so it won't rotate, but tight enough that it won't come off. Not quite there. Perfect. Much better. Well, there you have it, all back together, at least this one, and I did buy a spare gear. Actually, I have a nice little selection of spare parts for the Bridgeport now. This come from H&W Machine Repair. You can find them online, just Google them, H&W Machine Repair. They have all the Bridgeport parts. In stock, quick shipping. They have a YouTube channel showing teardown and reassembly. They're very good. So I've bought all my parts from them. I've replaced some parts up here in one machine. I've done the collet alignment screws several times. I think I have 6 of those on hand because they do shear. I run pretty high torque on stuff and I do shear them. It's a common piece. Not a hard thing to change. This one I'd never changed, but obviously it was stuck. That ring does not need to be that tight. It should just be snugged and then just a little bit extra, not much, just to hold it. And that one was a fight to get it off, but we got it. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Now, I got to talk to you about the pin jaws. Many of you have pre-ordered the pin jaws, and they are finishing up as we speak. So as you can see, I got the tumbler outside for noise and cleanliness, whatever. It works great. I installed a tank on the other side for the liquid, so we got the liquid going, and here's one of the jaws. That's almost done, actually. A little bit longer in the tumbler, but won't be much. So the first batch in the tumbler is almost done. I ran 55 sets. We had 22 pre-orders, and I ran 55 sets, but 5 sets of them are undrilled. Undrilled as in I didn't put the mounting holes. So they won't have the mounting holes to bolt it to your chuck. So if you have a chuck that isn't the standard mounting, it's metric or it's a Chinese chuck or whatever, there will be 5 sets available in my store, undrilled. So I'll probably call them unmounted or something to that effect. So they'll be in the store on my website. You can get those, and if they sell quick, I'll make more of them. I know a lot of you have asked about, undrilled ones for, custom mounting. So I wanted to get those out, and we'll see how we do. If we sell a few more of these, I'll probably run another batch. But we're going to get started on the 4-inch soon. So I want to get those going and just see where we go with this. But I'm very happy with the finish I get out of this tumbler on these things. And one last thing before we go, I hope you learned something from this video. Tear down, disassembly, repair. It's all easy stuff with these Bridgeports. They're a very simple machine, very, very versatile. So I hope you enjoyed that. And upcoming videos, I don't know yet. Things are going to be a little bit weird for a while. There hasn't been much work coming in. There isn't much that I've been working on. Haven't been spending much money on my own projects. And the weather isn't good enough to be out there working on the dragline, the sawmill, the steam engine, any of that stuff. So as we'll see, play it by ear. Might be doing a video every week, might be every other week. We'll see how things shake up. But I've got one that I'm going to try to get done for next week. If not, it'll be the following. So stick with me, check out my store, and please like, subscribe, share. And until next time, get out in your shop and get it done right the first time.